very proud to represent land developers, home builders, but that's not all. They're sort of at the apex of the urban development tree, of course. The engineers and the lawyers and the planners, the architects, the quantity surveyors, the banks who provide finance. It's a really large and complex ecosystem, and I'm sure you'll see that today with all of the exhibitors that you're going to speak to. So I'm going to try to get this working. There we go, it's pretty easy. Really quickly, the industry's contribution, the urban development industry contributes a whole heap. I'm used to talking to the industry itself rather than you as potential home buyers. So they love this one. They feel very, very warm and fuzzy when they see it. But I think it is important for you to see this as well. The jobs that are created through the people in this room, over 200,000 jobs in Victoria annually. 125 billion, that's billion with a B, is contributed or has been contributed over the past 5 years to the Victorian state economy. And importantly, I'm going to jump to the 52.8% of state tax revenue. Again, this is one for the industry, but I think it is important for all of you as well, just to know that this industry contributes over half of every dollar that the state government takes through taxes. So every time you jump on a train, every time you jump on a bus, every time you send the kids off to a public school or go to a public hospital, 52.8% of all of those services have been provided from the people in this room. So it's a huge contribution that they make. So this is a picture from our UDIA Awards for Excellence. We run these every 12 months just to celebrate excellence within our industry, and there is a whole bunch of excellence within the industry, of course, and you're going to find that out today. But what I wanted to do is just have a look at this picture, and I wanted to just, again, for your minds, just reflect on who we represent and what is part of the urban development industry. It's not just a series of homes that are next to each other in silos. It is a connected, walkable, livable community that our people, our members and the people in this room are developing. So if you have a look here, again, just really quickly, you've got the land developers. This used to be a paddock, used to be a farm somewhere. Obviously not anymore. You've got the land developer who gets to the point of subdivision. You've got the water utilities, the power utilities. You've got the home builder. You've got the brickies. You've got the landscape architects, the landscape contractors. You've got the glaziers, the plumbers, the tilers, the electricians. The list goes on. And then you've got the back end of that, the urban planners. You've got the lawyers. There are always lawyers drafting contracts left, right and centre. Don't worry about that. You've got the banks who are providing finance, firstly to the developer or the builder to make this happen, and then obviously to the home buyer to purchase a home in this sort of community. So these sorts of images are what you will be looking at today around all of these exhibits. You're going to be talking to people who deliver these sorts of quality communities. Look, what I'm going to tell you about today, the case for the Melbourne housing market, you don't actually need to know what this says in essence, but it's an example of headlines. And you're going to read a lot of headlines, particularly around the housing market. Two things we love to talk about in Melbourne: housing, house prices, and footy. Everyone has a different opinion, no one agrees, and everyone, in fact the same people, have different opinions depending on the time of day or the day of week. So as an example, and again this could apply equally to either side of politics, I'm not trying to politicise anything here, it could be red, it could be blue, it doesn't matter. The same journalist in the same newspaper a week apart telling us that the opposition is, in a shambles, no way they're going to win. A week later, well hang on, actually, they're right in this. I don't know if we've got any journalists in the room, or particularly here, hopefully not, but little secret, it's clickbait. They want you to click, they need you to click. The journalists, in fact, to be fair to them, don't even write the headlines. The editors write the headlines. They write the story, the editors put a real jazzy headline to get you to click. The more you click, the more they can sell the ads. The more they sell the ads, the more money they make. Easy enough. So, there you go. Had to put this one in. Sorry, Carlton fans, but the Blues were top four, shortly thereafter. This is probably, to be fair to the journalists, this is just fact. They missed the final, so that's great. But again, it changes really quickly. And then here you go, as I said, talking about house prices. The same people on the same day have different opinions. This is, again, the same journalist, the same newspaper, House prices close to bottom as auctions rebound, and a week later won't prevent large house price falls. So look, what I would say to you, and the purpose of these couple of slides, is ignore the headlines, ignore the clickbait. Unless you are trying to buy and sell a house in the space of a week or a month or a year and flip it for a profit, this is largely irrelevant. Whether the price of a house is going up or down in the short term is largely irrelevant. What you're going to see is you always get peaks and you always get troughs. You get that in the share market as well. But if you are holding something for the longer term, and I should say the average Victorian house ownership length, so the number of years that the average Victorian who owns a home holds onto that home before selling is 12 and a half years. So if you're looking at things in terms of an investment, 12 and a half years. You don't need to worry about whether the price is going up today and down next week. Obviously there's a barrier to entry, and that's where you start to consider these sorts of things. But unless you're trying to flip it quickly, the short-term peaks and troughs are largely irrelevant when you look at this graph. I'm from Adelaide, I say graph, I know you say graph, just bear with me. 20-year house price growth in Greater Melbourne. So this is metropolitan Melbourne wide. So if you have a look, and apologies that it's quite small on the screen, but January 2002, we'll start down here. January 2002, moving up to January 2022. As you can see, through that time, we've had the GFC, we've had a pandemic, we've had peaks and we've had troughs. But you look at that, and you can see that the trend, the long-term trend line, is going up. So if you ask someone in this room, and of course they will say this, and as their representative in the peak body, I will say this as well, but if you ask someone in this room, when should I buy a home? Well, you know what the answer is, if you can afford to buy a home. And I know that is a question not everyone can afford, but if you can afford to buy a home, today is the day, because if you look at the long-term trend, prices go up. That's 20 years. You can extrapolate that back to 40, to 60, to 80, back to the wars, and the house price trend is always going up, and there are reasons for that. Supply and demand. We always need more homes than we have because we have growing population. We've had that for 80 years. Even with the pandemic, population came off slightly, but we are expecting that rebound right back, and quite frankly, you can get people into the country quicker than you can build a home. So that simple economics of supply and demand means that house price trends are always looking the good. Now, that's metropolitan Melbourne. The red line is Melbourne's growth corridors. So the same trend line, and you can see it largely follows, the trend largely follows in terms of investment growth, capital growth, whether you're in Camberwell, Hawthorn, Kew, Oakley, Northcote, or whether you're in, by and large, the places that the people in this room, the exhibitors in this room, are delivering new communities in Melbourne's growth corridors. The difference between the blue line and the red line is the price to entry, the barrier to entry. So you can see here, as an investment, if you're looking at it as an investment, by and large follows the same trend. You're always going to get that capital growth over the longer term. But the red line, Melbourne's growth corridors, provide significant affordability competitive advantage. I should say as well, it's not just affordability. And of course, buying a home is far more than an investment. It is to live in. It is a home. The old castle adage, the great Australian movie, The Castle, a house is a home. First and foremost, it is a home. So the other thing I should say about the growth corridors is there has been a significant shift over the past few years towards Melbourne's growth corridors, not just because of affordability, and it may have started as an affordability equation, but now it's a livability factor. If we look at the last couple of years, the pandemic, people locked down, and we've hopefully seen the back of that, but it's history, it's fact. We were locked down. Would you rather be locked down in a small townhouse or apartment in the inner suburbs, particularly if you've got a young family, or would you like to move to the growth corridors with, if you go back to that picture I showed you earlier, the connected communities, the new playgrounds, the extra bedroom perhaps, especially in this working from home environment, the ability to work from home, in fact, at all. So the commute, maybe 5 days a week, coming into the city and out again 5 days a week, might be a bit much, but all of a sudden, in this working from home environment, doing that 2 days a week or maybe 3 days a week is a lot more compelling and attractive. So not only is the investment proposition there for the growth corridors, it is also a lifestyle and amenity factor. Same thing, just illustrated a little bit differently, but again, you can see that by and large, the 10-year on the the 20-year average growth on the left, 10-year in the middle, and the 5-year on the right. The blue is metropolitan Melbourne, the red is the growth corridors. By and large, they follow each other. There's a little bit of up and down here and there, but if you look on the right-hand side, 5-year average growth, that really shows you that pandemic shift towards the growth corridors as well, towards the new estates and the new communities that the developers and the builders in this room have to offer. Again, I am just focusing on the investment side of things at the moment, and I should have said, sorry, right at the outset, the lawyers will have me for breakfast if I don't say this. Of course, this is general advice. It's not particular advice. It doesn't take into account your own personal circumstances, so I have to say that. But if you look at this again, over the course of COVID, on the left-hand side were the price increases across metropolitan Melbourne. So you've got the inner suburbs there, units and houses, and on the right-hand side, you've got, since COVID, we reached a peak and house prices have been declining to a degree. So we're all in this position. We know that interest rates are rising, it is getting harder, cost of living is there. But what you can see in terms of Melbourne's growth corridors, if you have a look on that right-hand side, Melbourne's growth, in fact on the left-hand side, prices going up, everyone was going up. So the west, houses in the west increased through COVID by 16.1%. Now what you will see on the right-hand side, and this is why I wanted to show you this, is the growth corridors of Melbourne have proved so far to be far more resilient. And again, that shows the lifestyle shift. Again, we started off with a conversation about affordability. But more and more people are shifting and looking to these new communities in the growth corridors because they offer the lifestyle and they offer the amenity. Again, the work from home environment with the extra bedroom or the space. Again, hopefully we never get to this, but if we ever go into lockdown, as someone with a couple of kids, I can tell you the space to have a trampoline out in the backyard as opposed to being cooped up in an apartment or a townhouse in the inner suburbs is shifting people out there. So you can see the prices in Melbourne's growth corridors are extremely resilient. They are holding up. So the crystal ball. Well, we've spoken about the past. What's in store for the future? Well, I can tell you right now, if I had the answer to that, I wouldn't be here. I would be on a yacht in the Bahamas somewhere because I would have cashed in, made all my money, and you wouldn't see me for quids. But anyone who tells you they know the answer, they know exactly what's going to happen in the future, quite frankly, is a liar. No one knows what is going to happen in the future. But what I can tell you is, generally speaking, whether it is the housing market, whether it is the share market, or whether it is history in general, the best predictor of the future is always the past. So here we go. I mentioned before you could extrapolate that house price graph out from 20 years as we had earlier to 40 to 60 to 80. So here you go, right back to 1880. Again, you get peaks, you get troughs. Generally, with an average hold of a home of 12 and a half years in Victoria, perhaps even longer, you can ride out the peaks, you can ride out the troughs. But look at that in terms of what house prices have done in Australia. There is no reason to suggest that they won't continue that trend. So if you're looking at a trend of 140 years, again, I can't tell you with absolute certainty, I can't tell you when the peaks will come, when the troughs will come, but if you are looking for a home, that provides you the lifestyle and the amenity, plus, even as an investment and to secure your family's financial future, if you are looking for an investment and you're going to hold it for a while, you're not looking to flip it, then that graph, see it? Graph, Adelaide again. I tried to speak in a Melbourne accent there. So graph, that graph shows you that housing, no matter when you get in, has proven to be, over 140 years, a pretty decent investment. Again, there is nothing to suggest that it won't be the case. I can't guarantee you that day on day, and week on week, and year on year, you're going to be seeing exponential price increases. But what I can say is, looking at 140 years of history, if you can ride out some of these peaks and some of these troughs, you're going to be doing pretty well. I'm going to just wrap up with this one, and this is just a personal touch. It's nothing special to look at. This was taken from Google Maps. So this is my childhood family home in Adelaide, suburban Adelaide, middle class Adelaide. This was a new estate 30 odd years ago. Mum and Dad still live there, and I'm sure because I took it from Google Maps, Mum and Dad will be pretty disappointed that I haven't got the, it's not a nice sunny day and the rose bushes are pruned back and all of that sort of stuff, but it is what it is. I thought this was realistic and it was genuine. But this just goes to that point that, look, we've spoken about investment and we've spoken about whether house prices are going up or going down, but ultimately, as I said before, the great Aussie film, The Castle, a house is a home, first and foremost. So this home was built 30 odd years ago in a new estate in Adelaide. It was the first home that was built in that estate. We were the first ones in. The first summer was really bloody dusty. The first winter was full of mud. And then the neighbours came. This was in the middle of a paddock, as I said. The neighbours came. And all of a sudden the street filled up and the community was built around the first homes in that estate. So Mum and Dad still live there 30 years later. This is still the glue that holds our family together. Each Christmas we're back there now with my kids, my parents' grandkids. This has seen 30 years of memories. And as I go back there now, and as I now represent the members in this room who create new estates, I can tell you two things. First and foremost, what they're delivering here in this room is a lot shinier, a lot better and a lot nicer than what was created 30 years ago. But I can also tell you that these estates and these communities develop over time. And as I said right at the outset, it's not a series of individual homes built next to each other. It is a community that these people in this room are delivering and they're building for you. So I really do encourage you to get around and talk to as many of them as possible. I do hope that if you are in the journey to buy a home, and if you do so, whether it's today or this weekend or in the future with any of the exhibitors in this room, I hope that you will find a place that provides 30 years of memories for your families, and also, going back to the graphs before, provides a bit of financial security as well, and some decent investments. And I'm sure you will. I really do thank you, and I congratulate you as well for coming along today. It's a Saturday morning. I'm sure there are plenty of other options on the table for you, but you've come along. I really do congratulate you for that decision. I encourage you to have a chat with as many of these exhibitors as possible, because at the end of the day, and I get to say this, in my role I can say this, and I can say it in this room, but I'll say it in Sydney or Brisbane or WA, Adelaide as well. The people in this room are delivering the best communities in the country, hands down. So get along, have a chat with as many of them as possible. I really do encourage you to do that. I wish you a successful couple of days. I hope you find a bargain, and otherwise really happy to chat with any of you afterwards. I'm going to get around and have a chat with these exhibitors as well, but have a fantastic expo, and thank you so much again for inviting me to speak.
Thank you so much, Matthew. That was absolutely lovely. Put that on me. Thank you very much. I'm going to say that was really strong game on the presentation front. Really good graph game. Solidarity, man. Love it. Love it. I'm going to say I was really stuck on the slide with the crystal ball. Just asking crystal balls. I think like a lot of kids are into that these days. It's like pixels and crystals. Yeah, it's real creepy. I don't know. Like, I actually asked a rock for advice last week, and all it said to me was, "You think you've got it hard." Little pun. I had to do it. Come on. That had to be done. Look, we're going to keep rolling, so because we've got a lot of keynote speakers to get through today. Our next speaker is the Director of Incentives Program with UDIA Victoria. He is